On this edition of the Desert Vision, we hit the coast as Army and Kuwaiti divers train together. We check in on the consolidation efforts in Qatar, and we look at a pair of unique hobbies at Camp Arifjan. Welcome to the Desert Vision, presented by U.S. Army Central. I'm Staff Sergeant David Graves.
And I'm Senior Airman Olivia Stecker. All of those stories and more coming up.
But first, we take a look at unique training between pilots, vets, and working dogs and their handlers. Our working dogs give us quite the advantage on the battlefield, but what happens when one of those dogs needs to be airlifted out of a combat zone? Staff Sergeant Luke Wilson brings us a close-up look.
Today we're out here on the flight line doing familiarization training for air evac medics and for military working dogs so that they can prepare for eventual medevac cases that they may encounter while on deployment. Part of this training is to allow the military working dog to become familiar with the sights and sounds of being on a helicopter and then become acclimated to it so that they can understand that it's not something they need to be afraid of, that with their handler there that they can accommodate that situation and be adapted to it.
It's more beneficial, so if we get a patient, like a military working dog as a patient, then we have more experience working with the dog, so doing the traumas, doing the medical stuff. The more practice we can get working with the dogs and with you guys on the ground, the better it's going to be for the future.
In certain situations, you want to know what your dog's how he's going to react. If there ever is a situation where we have to medevac our dogs, if he's not comfortable with a helicopter or even the medevac team, you need to know that so you can prepare for that. If we can make all this muscle memory just by doing this training all the time, then it just makes it easier in a stressful situation like that. What I enjoyed most about today was just actually being out there and getting to work with other units. It's always exciting to kind of hear their experiences and kind of share ours as well. I mean, a lot of people are amazed with our military working dogs, and it's fun to share that experience.
We have a great degree of interoperability between these Air Force working dog handlers, Army veterinarians, and Army flight medics, and that we can work seamlessly together and provide a full continuity of care for these military working dogs.
The key aspect of this is working together with other branches to make sure things run smoothly when it's the real deal.
That training was recently tested as military working dog Roger was moved to Arifjan for treatment. The vets at the 994th MDV-SS took Roger in for a life-saving surgery. Military working dog Roger is one of over 2,000 dogs serving in the U.S. military. He works as a bomb-sniffing dog, ensuring patrols are clear and unauthorized explosives don't make it on base. A usually energetic and playful partner, his handler realized something was wrong when Roger became less interactive and started slowing down.
Hey, shh, it's okay. It's okay.
They then discovered Roger had a tumor on his spleen, and the need for a newly established mobile blood bank and an emergency medevac became clear.
Again, these cases, there's a good chance that they can decompensate quickly. I think if he had not been medevaced up here and had not been able to get this surgery as quickly as we were able to do it, we could have lost him. Cases like this, these remind you why you're here.
Roger is currently stable and expected to make a full recovery. Afterwards, he will be returned home and retired with full military honors. Reporting from Camp Arifjan, I'm Airman Olivia Stecker. Since then, Roger has made a full recovery and is enjoying life as a retiree back in the U.S. We'll be right back.
Man, wash your hands.
As the drawdown of forces continues in the CENTCOM area, engineers are spending more time tearing down non-essential bases and moving equipment. That equipment has to go somewhere. Soldiers in Al Udeid are building warehouses to help the consolidation efforts.
I'm Sergeant LaVore Brown from the 310th Construction Management Team. My role is a technical engineering sergeant, and we're out here in AUAB to conduct a construction project. What we're currently doing is erecting shelving structures, so we're assembling shelving for a medlock unit, so when they move out here into AUAB, they'll have somewhere to put all their medical equipment. My favorite part of the job is basically being able to follow the process through and seeing it from the foundation being dug until that building is erected and it's a fully functioning building where soldiers can inhabit and conduct their mission. So these buildings are important because the Army seeks to consolidate its resources and move more towards joint bases and have more of a refined structure where everything is in one location.
The 310th Construction Management Team is a pivotal asset in the region as we move more towards joint base operations.
One of the main avenues of moving that equipment is by sea. The 101st DSB and 1184th DDSB are two of the strategic partners responsible for moving cargo in the region. Army Sergeant Von Trey Hampton was at the port of Schwebe as crates of ammunition were offloaded.
For ammunition vessel missions, the DSB is providing operational oversight for movements from the ports to the respective ammunition supply point. When the ammunition gets to the staging area at a specific port, it'll get loaded by the transportation company and then it'll get transported to the ammunition supply point.
Through the coordination that the Sustainment Brigade has done, they are able to quickly move the pro-grade cargo back to the ammo supply point to reduce the exposure we have here, but also move that cargo as quickly as they can in order to get it to the proper supply points to provide that capability to the warfighter.
The units that download ammunition vessels are absolutely key. So without them, none of this ammunition required for the warfighter would get off the vessel and into the warfighter's hands. The ammunition supply point, they're instrumental to the success as well because they're the ones that receive the ammunition and then push it out to the warfighter themselves.
We have not only a lot of pre-safety inspections that go through, but we also have just several safeties throughout the mission that ensure that we're following proper safety protocol. Our last mission went very well, and we're expecting the same for this mission as well.
The 1184th and 101st see roughly 4 to 6 ships at the port each month, proving just how vital their operations are to the success in the region. We'll be right back.
Social distancing is giving the people around you at least 6 feet of separation. As you visit businesses on base, you should see markers on the ground to remind you of what 6 feet looks like. There may not always be markers, and there may be times when people forget to social distance. If this happens, please politely remind them about the 6-foot rule. And always remember to mind your 6.
It's okay to say, I'm not okay.
Está bien decir que no estás bien.
I do care about you
as a person. I do care about you
as a soldier.
I do care about you as a civilian.
I do care about you as a human.
Don't deal with a problem alone.
No, you are not bothering me.
No, I'm not too busy.
I have been there. I have fallen before.
I'm here. Please, take my helping hand.
Ven, agárrame la mano y coge mi ayuda.
I'm here. Please take my helping hand.
I'm here.
I'm here.
I'm here.
I'm here.
Please take my helping hand.
I'm here. Please take my helping hand.
Welcome back to the Desert Vision, presented by U.S. Army Central. Regular training is at the center of what makes our units so efficient. Soldiers with the 74th Dive Detachment spend time training at the Kuwait Naval Base alongside their host nation partners.
2-5, right? 2-5, Mike?
Today was a kind of a meet and greet and getting to know the leaders in the Kuwaiti Navy diving program here at the Kuwaiti Naval Diving Base, getting to know and getting comfortable with people that we may be working with in the near future. Breathing bubbles underwater is pretty universal. Everyone does things differently. Everyone does things, not exactly to the same script. So it's good to do these dives so we get to understand their habits and their techniques. We get to learn from them, they get to learn from us. In the hopes of making each other better. I love the work. I love the various climates that we operate in. But at the top of that list has got to be the soldiers that I work with. We're very small, but because of the small size that we have, the small number of personnel, we get to know each other very, very well. You have to rely on your dive buddies. You have to rely on those people on your left and your right. And because of that shared challenge in such a small community, just fills me with confidence, and then I know I can, put my life in their hands. Working with other nations' divers is important because we want to have that close relationship with them, not only because we could help each other out in the future, but so we can learn each other's techniques, learn each other's mannerisms and everything like that to help further increase relationships. Disregarding the language barrier, just the techniques, the equipment, and becoming comfortable putting our lives in somebody else's hands that's, not wearing the uniform that we're wearing, not always trained in the same school that we're trained, but just learning the different techniques so we make each other better, so we make each other smarter and make each other safer.
And that safety is paramount, and regular training with our partners lends to a safer region overall.
More than a century of history was celebrated as U.S. Army Central blew out candles on its 102nd birthday cake. On the 7th of November, soldiers of U.S. Army Central celebrated the anniversary date of the creation of 3rd Army, which was established on November 7, 1918, during World War I, in Chaumont, France. 3rd Army became U.S. Army Central in 1982. The celebration took place throughout U.S. ARCENT's area of responsibility. The history of the unit can be summed up by the soldiers who have bravely served and are currently serving in U.S. Army Central. Lieutenant Colonel Stephen Flanagan, Headquarters and Headquarters Battalion Commander, stated, 3rd Army also proudly acclaims 26 Medal of Honor recipients in our lineage. This is a truly historic and accomplished unit that has played a huge role in protecting our homeland and winning our nation's wars. We should be very proud to wear this 3rd Army patch, to serve in such a legendary unit, and for the opportunity to become a part of 3rd Army history, as there are surely more battles and campaigns in our future. Valor and bravery are two characteristics that seem to go hand in hand with the U.S. Army Central soldier. We'll be right back. Finding a hobby to occupy your free time can make or break a deployment.
But not all hobbies are quite the same. We ran into a soldier with the 335th Signal Command Theater Provisional who spends his downtime dialed in.
This is the radio itself.
Sergeant First Class Christopher Chamflone is a tech guy.
Solar panels for long days in the sun.
A former radio operator in the infantry. He has a passion for figuring out how things function.
For me, it was something to tinker with. That's something I had always enjoyed. I enjoyed being a mechanic, troubleshooting and fixing things hands-on. So the radio is just something else to do it.
He now works at the Regional Cyber Center at Camp Arifjan, overseeing operations, mostly management. But his hobby, just a short walk away.
For me, it's a nice way of escaping. Some people get buried in video games and it's their detachment. Some people go to the gym, it separates them from their daily routines. For me, this is a way of getting outside that wire without ever having to leave it.
Jean-Flone built this antenna tower and spends his free time making contact with other radio hobbyists.
More than just doomsday preppers, yep.
All over the world. I asked him how it works.
An open wire configuration. In this method, I don't need a baling at the top, 20 meters, 14 megahertz. Calculations for that, it's 300 divided by whatever frequency you're using. It'll tell you how many meters the wavelength is. You're going to cut that in half.
And it can be a bit complicated.
It just blew my mind, the amount of information that's out there. It wasn't just, you jump on the radio like an old man and talk all day. There's a whole community, and ham radio encompasses everything from satellite communications to HF and everything in between. It's a very big community with a variety of interests.
But it's much more than just a hobby. Jean-Flone explained if our network went down for any reason, his equipment can ensure that we aren't left in the dark.
It can become very vital very quickly. So we can get messages out well outside of theater. Traditional line-of-sight communications, things that can be broken either through jamming or through physical obstructions. This gets around those. CQ, CQ, CQ. So this is a great way to have as a backhaul communication. In the event that things go really south, we can use this to communicate with tactical units that are in theater as well as outside of theater.
As we become more and more reliant on newer and newer technology, Jean-Flone keeps his fingers on the dials, knowing just how important an old school approach can become.
If we allow some of these older skills to dissipate, we're seriously hindering ourselves for the future. So if we can find more people who are interested in this and they do it on the side, then it keeps those skills fresh, even if we're not using them. I'm not saying that everybody needs to walk around with an HF radio on their back, but if you get a few guys in a unit who will do it as a hobby, or even wish to just learn about it, keep it in their back pocket, and the leadership is aware of it, I think it's useful.
Reporting for U.S. Army Central.
This is 9 Kilo 2 Whiskey.
From Camp Arifjan, Kuwait. I'm Army Staff Sergeant David Graves. When asked what's the furthest contact he has made since being in Kuwait, Jean-Flone smiled and said easily over 8,000 miles. Radio static isn't the only sound buzzing around Camp Arifjan.
It's pretty common for someone to pick up a musical interest while deployed. While the guitar seems to be the most popular choice, one soldier at Arifjan is taking a more Celtic approach.
I play the fiddle, I play the bagpipe, the guitar, and the bugle. It's First Lieutenant Rusty Miller, and my title is the 72 Delta for the 793rd PM Det. I'm a member of the Army Reserve, and my civilian job is a safety manager of a mass transit company.
So what brings you to Kuwait?
I saw this deployment. I saw it was a good opportunity, not only to serve my country, get out in the world, see some things I've never seen before, and to get some experience as industrial hygienist. I was playing Amazing Grace on my fiddle, but my mom described it as when I played Amazing Grace with the open G string, it sounded somewhat like bagpipes. And I ran with that, and a few months later I bought a practice chanter and I started learning bagpipe songs. And then from that I reached out to a gentleman, asked me if he would teach me. He said he would, and the rest is history. I can play up to probably 24 songs on the bagpipe. Funeral songs like Amazing Grace to happy wedding songs like there's a song called Mari's Wedding and everything in between. My favorite song will be The Flower of Scotland. It's a very pretty slow air. The next song I like is probably one that's indicative of bagpipe players called Scotland the Brave. And then there's another one called The Dark Isle. It's a very pretty slow air, and it can be pretty much played in about any setting. The thing I like most about playing the bagpipes is its uniqueness. There is not another single instrument out there that has the reputation or the sound that the bagpipes have. No matter where you go, if you play the bagpipes, people are going to know what that is. It's nice that I brought them because it's kind of a nice escape, for 20 or 30 minutes, where I can just go off over behind the motor pool and I can play my music, and it can kind of just take me back home, or I can just kind of forget about things for a little while and focus on the music itself.
Well, that will do it for this edition of the Desert Vision.
For more stories, check out our Facebook page at facebook.com/US Army Central.
For CJTF OIR, I'm Senior Airman Olivia Stecker.
And for US Army Central, I'm Staff Sergeant David Graves.
Patton Zone.
Always forward.